Hey guys, Carl Gentile here, president of the Gentile team with eXp Realty down in South Florida. This is week 3 of our podcast, talking about real estate investing here. So far we've covered how to find the deal, how to analyze the deal, and the last thing we're going to talk about here, or one of the next segment I guess we're going to talk about here is going to be cash flow killers. And there's a lot of people out there that are trying to jump into real estate investing. There's a lot of big speakers out there that a lot of people know about and a lot of people are following, listening, trying to get an understanding of the real estate investing game. And everyone thinks, it's so simple. We just grab a property, positive cash flow, even if it's $100, and then we're done, right? And that's it. They move on, they buy it, and then they forget about some of these cash flow killers we're about to talk about that can really change the game for them. So, to the inexperienced real estate investor, right, they might understand how to calculate expenses, how to calculate net operating income, how to calculate cash flow, things like that. But, a lot of people overlook some of these factors that can really affect your cash flow. And, the first one I want to talk about is vacancy. For some reason, I see a lot of inexperienced real estate investors neglecting vacancy. Just because you buy an income property, you plan on renting it, doesn't mean it's going to get rented immediately and you're going to have positive cash flow day one. Or what if a tenant leaves during the middle of a lease? Yeah, that can happen. I know we have leases, but leases can be broken. People can pay off the lease, and you're stuck with the property with no one in it. And it could take months to fill that spot. We don't know, right? Some markets are different than others. Some are super high demand. Some don't have super high demand. It all depends. Even in high demand markets, sometimes other factors can affect what really takes place with your vacancy rate here. And if you've got $100 a month coming in, positive cash flow on a property, someone leaves and you're 2 months without a property, without a tenant in that property, your cash flow for the year is crushed very quickly, very, very quickly. So, you could be at negative numbers basically overnight with that happening. So, that's something you really have to take into consider and really analyze and understand. Every market's going to be different, whether it's a 5% vacancy loss or 10%, whatever it is. You really have to calculate that factor when you're calculating your numbers here. The next one, for the small real estate investor, it's probably not a huge factor because most likely if you have 1 or 2 or 3 properties and they're local to you, you're going to manage them yourself. But what happens when you get 10, 15, or you're buying in an area that you don't live in? You're going to need a management company to manage these properties. And, if you have bad management, that can affect your property greatly because, keeping your tenants happy is how you keep tenants and you keep that, you keep those units rented and occupied all the time. Bad management is going to lead to, the factor we just talked about, vacancy rates. You have bad management, people aren't going to want to stay there. And if they're not maintaining the property the way they should, that's going to lead to deferred maintenance and other issues that are going to cost money out of your pocket to keep that property in working condition. Because if you're not constantly maintaining and repairing the property, issues can build and build and build. And instead of having a small repair, it can end up being a really big repair that can cost you a lot of money. And, the third thing is bad tenants. I mean, that's just a part of life. We can all go through the background checks, the credit checks. We can do everything we want to. But there's just sometimes bad tenants, no matter what their credit is, no matter what their history is. Their criminal report could be clear. Everything could be great. They could have an 800 credit score. They could have no criminal history, nothing like that. And they can end up just being bad tenants, and that can cause you frustration, time out of your day spent, and time is money, right? So if you're having to deal with all these things, it can just be a huge, huge headache, and that can cause a lot of issues for a lot of people. And then last but not least is going to be insurance, right? So we all know insurance, whether it's for our car, life insurance, house insurance, whatever it is, right? As a landlord, you need specific insurance for your property, depending where it is. Is it in a flood zone? What is it? You're going to need different types of coverage in this property, whether it's property coverage, home insurance, or it's liability insurance, or you can have flood insurance or even lost rent insurance. These are all things that every experienced real estate investor understands, and you as an inexperienced real estate investor, different categories of insurance when you're buying a property to make sure yourself, it's you, not only you, but your property and your company, if you're creating a company here, is protected of, certain issues. So you never know what's going to happen, right? So you really have to make sure that you're protecting your asset. This is an investment for you. You have to make sure you're protected long term to ensure that you have, long-term cash flow and property gains, which is going to lead to your financial success. So guys, you really have to break down these four things. And this is going to come down to, part of what we talked about before, analyzing the deal. Make sure you know the market, know the location, know the property, know your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, things can change overnight. So like I said, guys, really have the knowledge base. Get out there and start actively investing in real estate and get things started. Again, guys, Carl Gentile here, President Gentile Team with eXp Realty in South Florida. Feel free to drop us a message. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Carl R. Gentile. We'll be dropping news every week, and make sure to stay tuned and get out there, and we'll see you soon.